it's, as I kind of said before, a huge question mark. We don't know.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Nekkra, for your addition to that conversation. We're going to be moving right into our map. We're going to be starting in Control, obviously. And if you don't recognize this, really, what game have you been playing? This is Ilios. And we're going to be starting on Ilios well, in point of fact. So look out for those environmental kills.
Well, it's going to be an uphill battle for T1W, given that they traditionally very bad at control maps. So it's kind of become almost a meme at this point that they just can't really succeed in them. But it's actually looking like they're doing this high ground rotation to sort of sneak around.
Yeah, but Merit here looking to try and get a bead on Molanran up in the sky there on the Pharah. Constantly repositioning, looking to get angles there. Mija stayed up on the high ground, looking for an opportunity to get in and throw some of those cooldowns the way of LGE. That's going to be the point opening, flipping over straight away. LGE able to take first possession, but we sort of haven't really had a proper team fight yet.
Well, the thing is, when you have a McCree playing on Ilios well, you typically expect a rotation through that back building, and that's where Midgie is waiting, because he wants to jump down onto the McCree as he comes through. But LGE.Huya just haven't done that, so he's just been kind of sitting there doing nothing, and Molanran's really been the one dealing in the damage, which is why we see him already having the barrage.
Well, there's an opener. The barrage comes out, the equalizer. Mija and Sven both down already. The question is, can T1W do enough to convert that kill into some sort of a team fight win? Because at the minute, not a lot of follow-up. It's been very, very slow here for T1W. It's going to be the amplification matrix out for LGE already. And Merit here looking to maybe try and get into a range to actually make some use of that powerful little window. Able to take Molanran down, but Illusion brings Silver back into the fight. Silverback, no pun intended there on the Gorilla. Mija finally finds Merit, got what they were looking for. And that may be just enough, although Lensa able to get Illusion as part of that. Silver getting Equalizer on that main tank exchange. This has been such a long, drawn-out fight, and it's not yet flipped over.
Yeah, the crazy thing here is the fact that LGE, while sort of being forced off the point, didn't really have all that much to worry about because no one from T1W was bothering to get on the point, and then once they were finally able to resituate themselves, T1W didn't really have enough there to bring the team down. So that's left them in a position where they have 74% of the point. That's 2, maybe 3 fights away for T1W to have to win. And okay, sure, maybe T1W can start to focus on the Zenyatta if they choose to use the Meteor Strike on the backline, but then Lingza can just bring out the Immortality Field and protect them. It's gonna be kind of hard here for T1W.
Yeah, it is. Molly able to get the first kill of this exchange, but Molanran with the barrage, not surviving that ultimate themselves. A blizzard in over the top is gonna get rid of Heidi and Silver. Molanran brought back in. They want to keep this fight alive if they can, but Sven with the self-destruct gonna get that right out again. Esports for you, coming right back in, rubber banding back into control of the point.
And this is the real kind of issue with the composition that T1W is running, is pretty much any ground-based battle is going to have a really hard time. Given what Lingan Esports are running, they've got the Blizzard, well, obviously not online, but they have that on one of their heroes. They've also got the Immortality Field. And so the Pharah is really the only person who doesn't get bothered like that on the side of T1W, but then she also can't come down and touch the point.
Yeah, well, the contest has been ticked over now. A little foot over the line there for T1W, keeping this alive. Merit now in the back. Will or not quite able to connect with the Doomfist before that ultimate came off. Mija looking for a target, finds some high ground instead, coming in. Not able to find anything with that right click, and that's going to be an ice block. You can't really do an awful lot to that, and that's going to be the Blizzard out also. Mija with the mobility able to get out of the Blizzard, but not out of the range of the Mei. And Merit with the cleanup takes out 3. Huya Kami to round things out, and that's going to be 1-0 on Ilios for Lingan Esports.
Looking pretty decisive there for LGE, and kind of as I said, a lot of it was because the composition that T1W were running just wasn't really ideally suited to dealing with what LGE had, because everybody on the ground was super vulnerable, and then Malamran, great, he was dealing loads of damage, but then they just didn't flip the point, and that's kind of the point here on Control. So obviously moving here into Lighthouse is going to be T1W's chance to maybe change things up, although right now it's looking like they're just going to be playing that same sort of game. Well, actually, Silver 3 switching on over to the ball here, which could be actually great news for T1W if he can kind of roll on through, disrupt the composition, but then Kami is going to be a really big problem, because if you freeze up the Wrecking Ball, then that completely negates the value that he can add to the team, and losing that tank like that who can kind of cause so much chaos, that's going to be a huge issue.
Yeah, and of course there's also the hook and the flashbang. It's going to be a really rough time to be a Wrecking Ball. Molanran able to start this fight off, though, with a kill onto Merit. And there, yeah, as we were discussing, big freeze. Sven not able to get the kill, doesn't quite connect with enough damage to get that one-shot combo. Molanran going to find Ensa in the middle of that. Sven is looking for these hooks, but not having a huge amount of value. Molanran already with the barrage, doesn't get a huge amount done with it. Does scare wow, that exchange was crazy.
Wow.
The hook comes in and it backfires massively. Hy-Vee able to get a displacement and save themselves. That's going to feel so bad for a Roadhog.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Actually, we're seeing Sven switch over onto the Diva now, potentially to not find himself in a situation like that, but also, of course, to be able to protect from the kind of projectiles like the rockets that come in from Malanran.
Ooh, wow. Kami taken straight down. Mija with the Nano Boost doing a huge amount of work. Will have the ultimate. Looking for maybe a couple more picks. Not sure. Yeah, able to find Jamak as well. This is looking
J-Mac actually, after the Nano stopped, he didn't really use the Nano for anything. Of course, you get the kind of sustenance. You get your 250 HP, so it's certainly not bad. Sustenance.
Nom 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 nom.
It does make me think of food.
Yeah, a little bit.
Silver 3 is just getting ready to place the minefield down here and prevent LGE.Huya from making through their rotation. They don't have very many heroes that can do anything about that.
Oh, well, there's the minefield.
There we go.
2 amplification ultimates coming out for LGE. Both taken down. J-Mac down 2. Mija still up and alive. Molanran in the sky with the barrage. Looking for the angles. It's a point blank range. Not quite able to get the connect. No, it does get the D-Mech and the kill onto the pilot form. What an ultimate out from Molanran.
Yeah, it's actually being quite well coordinated here by LGE, setting that up really quite nicely. And I have to say, it's a little bit questionable that Sven, he decided to fly into the Pharah, but not with the defense matrix or anything like that, you know, because who would want to...
Get down, Mr. President.
Yeah, kind of. And now we've got T1W in this situation where if LGE can't actually make it through to the point, then they're going to take this point fairly easily, and we'll end up going through the ruins.
Oh, this could be... No, ooh. Decided there was too much CC to try and get that. That could have been a huge
I wanted to see that.
Yeah, that would have been great. Silver still alive. Initiates with the power driver. Immortality field out and down. Molanran getting in over the top and throwing in that damage. On board with Mija. Getting very close to that ultimate again. Looking for targets. Waiting for cooldowns. Such a difficult hero to time if you've not got everything just right. Molanran in the sky still. Finds a support. Look to try and get the Zenyatta out. Zenyatta falling down. Molanran finds. That looks like a curving rocket. That was a homing rocket being able to find the target in that building. J-Mac does get a kill, but as the overtime ticks down, it's looking increasingly less likely that this is going to go the way of LGE. Mija now has the ultimate ready on the Doomfist. Probably not going to need it here. Molanran getting the D-Mech at the end. Man, LGE do not want this fight to end if they can at all help it now that we've got the Tracer on the field looking to try and get back in. There's a McCree taken out of commission as we go to 1-1. We're going to go to a decider map on Ilios. What a way to start the game.
And here's the thing, going through into ruins, T1W have pretty much locked themselves into this kind of brawl type playstyle involving the Doomfist, or not necessarily a Doomfist, but having to play up close and personal, because you may sometimes expect to see a Widowmaker come out on this map, but they can't suddenly switch in Assassin. So they have to kind of continue on what it is they've been going for. Malamran looking like he's going to be on the Sombra. He's been a pretty good Sombra for the team, to be quite honest. He's fairly decent at target prioritization. And of course, Ilios has these fantastic mega health packs that are well situated, that if you can get the right hacks onto them, you can really put the enemy team at a disadvantage.
So does this say more about the meta or about these teams that we don't see a Widowmaker in this map?
Probably more about the teams right now. I mean, you never know, because obviously the Orisa hog kind of thing is pretty popular, and that's not necessarily a Widowmaker's sort of ideal composition to go against. But obviously you can't guarantee that the other team is going to play that. So, I mean, if Assassin were in, just hypothetically, then maybe he would have tried to go for that and force something out from the other team. But against this kind of composition, no, you wouldn't see a Widowmaker.
Well, Mollaran and Silver both caught out there. Merit just clicking away, trying to get them as they run away. I said the defense matrix, not going to get too much with that, but that's going to be LGE taking initial control of the points. T1W going to have to come back and try again.
And things are kind of ticking up sort of steadily as far as ultimates go. I think Merit's probably the closest to his. He keeps missing those flashbangs. I mean, he's putting pressure on the other team, but not through the means of CC.
No, just damage. Like, I've got a flashbang. It does 5 damage, so I don't need it that much. Wow, T1W coming in, getting 2, taking J-Mac out, but there is a nano-boosted Diva in the face of Merit also. Hy-B getting the triple here, really opening things up. The D-Mech onto Hy-B at the end. Probably not that big a deal, because they are going to flip the point. Goodbye, Hy-B. Come back when you've got a mech, please. Thank you. Very kind.
Very quick way to sort that one out. I mean, Hy-B, he can be he's a diva who gets called out a lot as very good at his job. He can be perfectly aggressive when he needs to be, and so getting kills like that, actually able to flip over the point, even though it looked like T1W were potentially going to be losing that fight. That's actually quite a powerful thing to have happened.
It's nap time for Hog.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you see Kami getting ready to protect him with the walls, kind of coordination that you're wanting to be able to see, and hopefully that we'll be able to see as LGE start to bring out their ultimates, 4 of which they have on the board, and a couple more ready to go.
Man, that was a nice little bit of coordination there, the EMP and self-destruct, but it only finds 1 thanks to that immortality field that does die as a result. Silver coming in, getting a few more kills on the back end. Not a bad investment of ultimates for T1W, but they are going to be coming up against, well, a whole host of ultimates out from LGE in this next fight.
Yeah, I think this is the situation that LGE.Huya are in right now, where they didn't need to invest anything. They didn't actually have anything kind of support ultimate E that would have helped them against the self-destruct. No, it's not very good, this happening for T1W. I think Silver 3 kind of bit off a little bit more than he could chew.
Yeah, I think they hadn't realized that Akami had swapped over onto the Sombra. Yeah, so just immediately shut down the Wrecking Ball. LGE now in a very good position to come in and take this. Merit getting a cheeky flashbang onto Mollaran at the end. But still holding on to a lot of ults for LGE.
Yeah, I mean, they just didn't want to waste them in those situations where they only really have the Transcendence, which has a finite amount of HPS. You know, it's not burst healing. It can only kind of protect you to such an extent against something like a self-destruct, which does 1,000 damage in one go. So it's better used for them as they come into another fight.
Man, that was a great interrupt there from Meteor. Stopped almost any value coming out of that high noon. Escapes with the Meteor Strike now free to rein in. Chaos looking for the Orisa. Not any cooldowns yet. Going to get the uppercut, and the right click to the head is going to take them way down. Whilst that's happening, Merit coming up big, getting a main tank, getting a support. Goodbye, Akami, but the hook and the melee kill takes Meteor out. Merit looking like they're in a great position to get a headshot there onto Hy-B and carry this team fight back the other way. LGE flip it back around as we equalize and capture progress.
And now J-Mac is switched on over to the Wrecking Ball, going to be looking to get in those pile drivers, but as you say, LGE.Huya, they've started to flip things over and they're getting closer and closer to 100%. T1W are going to be relying very much on this EMP that they have ready, because they're not close enough to anything else.
Yeah, well, the overtime wick is going. There's the EMP. It's a big one. In fact, 2 big EMPs back to back, both hitting for Hy-B. Gets the first, but Merit comes in. Mollaran and Silver down already. Has the high noon. Might not even need to use it here. So few of T1W left alive on the point. In fact, just uses it to get that ammo back. And the flashbang onto the Lucio is going to seal the deal, as the contest is not going to come back out. That's going to be LGE taking us to 1-0 over T1W.
And they're going to be feeling good. And of course, it still continues on that tradition of T1W not being all that great on control. But I mean, that EMP at the end, taking advantage of that, LGE, you know, it was a great position because they knew that T1W didn't have anything else to offer up, whereas LGE had things that they could use going into their own EMP.
Great. Well, to add to the conversation, let's bring Nekkra back in. Come on in, Nekkra.
I love the beginning of the series was a one-sided fight for map 1, a one-sided fight the other way for map 2, and then a really close call on map 3. But ultimately why I feel LGE.Huya came out with the win on that one was because, one, their bunker comp on Well was really strong. I think they just had the right meta choice there for what that map offered. And then honestly for Ruins, CC's so strong. Having Merit on the McCree just got them so much value, and there wasn't really a good answer from you know, for T1W to really affect that.
I think the one thing that LG have kind of proven that they are good at is understanding who in a team is the most valuable target that they can get. Because last week when we saw them playing against Phantom Wizard, even though overall in the series they didn't do that great, they still were constantly going for a similar person. I think that was the main tank in that situation. But this time round, they've actually been focusing a little bit more on Midgia, on Milanran, on those DPS heroes, because they know that those are the ones who are going to be doing predominantly most of the work that is you know, required by T1W. So I think that's something that's worked really well for LGE in this round.
Well, we are going to take a short break while we get ready for map 2, but we are a long way from done. Still a lot to see from both of those teams. I hope you'll join us when we're back from break. And unsurprisingly, I said we'll be back, and we're back. We're getting ready to go into our second map of this set of games. That's going to be our Assault or 2CP map. We're going to be going over to Temple of Anubis. Now, Geo, this was clearly T1W's map pick. Why do you think they've picked this map?
Good question. I mean,
Thanks.
I think T1W... You're so welcome. I think T1W probably feel like they have a lot of stock in their DPS and that they'll be able to break through a sturdy defense. I think that's the important thing when you're starting to come into these defense-heavy maps like the Assault map. And one thing that LGE kind of proved that they haven't been so great at is exactly that, is being able to break through, you know, a really good defense. So maybe that's where T1W feel that they are. I think that what we've seen from them as far as their DPS goes, then I totally believe that they do have that power to be able to do that. They also have a lot of you know, quite a wide hero pool. They've got a lot of choice. Of course, I kind of mentioned it earlier, Assassin's really who covers majority of, well, some really specific parts of a hit scan like a Widowmaker. And so Midgia and Milanran generally both focus on the projectile, but I think they can cover quite a bit. And, you know, also we've seen that Silver 3 actually really likes to do this thing where he goes in as a wrecking ball and tries to harass the backline on his own. Now, of course, because he requires another tank with him now, he maybe won't be so alone. He'll have Hybe by his side, but Temple of Anubis is certainly a point where, at least on point A, you can do that if you're attacking. LGE, well, their Assault map was actually the only one that they won last week against Phantom Wizard, which I want to be like, oh, that's, you know, that's not saying much, but they did lose 3 maps, so we kind of have to put some, you know, some worthiness into that comment. But I think the thing with them is they will either try to go for the classic, you know, Orisa, Hog, whatever, or maybe they'll try and do an anti-dive type composition. With Merit maybe back on the McCree. I mean, we can see everyone's starting to set up here, so we'll find out very soon.
Yeah.
Merit's actually going to be on the Widowmaker instead. So this is actually a situation that T1W potentially not going to be able to deal with, at least not by bringing out their own Widowmaker. They're going to require Milanran to go and kind of harass the Widowmaker in his own right.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I kind of like the thought behind this offense, but I think it is going to be a very difficult thing for them to actually break through with until they've got some of those ults in place. Sort of an aborted team fight there, as we see LGE rotate up to this high ground. Midgia looking to try and get some value out of these shurikens, steadily climbing up towards that ult percentage.
It's a situation that we see many times where you're trying to make this Genji Sombra die, but you've got to wait until the Genji actually has what's available to him. And I said the Nano actually went on to Silver 3 there instead of waiting for that Genji at all.
Wow, man, it looks like LGE.Huya about to just crumble under this offense. We see everybody falling down. Mija finally starting to do work on the Genji. Just got to get rid of one pesky old main tank who does find Marlon around, but that's going to be J-Mac taken down. That's a really good capture time for T1W.
Yeah, that's especially good for what we traditionally see for this composition on an attack. Oftentimes you just see a lot of poke damage trying to be dealt, and then you have your one shot at doing the Nano Blade. Actually, T1W didn't bother doing that. They put the Nano onto Silver 3. He kind of fuddled things up and made some space, and then that allowed Midgia to follow up with his Genji, and that's going to put him in a really good position going into this next point, because it means they don't have to build something up once again, because both he and Milan Run are just about to have their ultimates online.
Yeah, I mean, placed in just the right location, this is going to completely open that fight up. Well, there's Dragon Blade reflect down, looking for an angle here, but there's a Sombra in the back, gets chased out. Mija still holding on to this. Molaran coming in here, gets the initial hack there onto the Orisa. Follow-up damage there coming in. That's going to be J-Mac taken down by Mija. And Primal Rage invested from Silver 3. There's a self-destruct coming out from Sven. Not able to find anything, but does get the make. Backbreak hack right into it again. Man, if Molaran didn't already have the ultimate, that would be so much charge given over. But there is an EMP and an unrooted Dragon Blade. Mija finds Molly. Hybe getting a Kami as well. There's the D-Mac and the kill onto Sven. Mija finds J-Mac too. Just got to deal with the Sombra, and this point is going to start to tick right the way over. They've already got 2 ticks. Unless the recontest comes in right this second, which it ain't, that's going to be one heck of a cap time for T1W.
That was very quick, and I said that it was because they were putting stock in their DPS players, and that is exactly what they did, and we saw how well they were working together. Constantly, the targets were who Milan Run would hack, and of course, when he went for the EMP, that's when the Dragon Blade would come out. We see it very often. I don't really need to explain that, but the lead up to that is the important thing, is that they methodically brought down members of LGE.Huya to get to that position that once they were all back, then they could actually invest those ultimates and bring them down in one go. And at that point, they'd already gained a certain amount of the percentage on the point. They just had to get that last third half, however much it was, to just bring it completely over and have a very beefy time bank.
Very, very beefy time bank indeed. But I thought it was impressive because, you know, the way this comp normally works is, okay, we wait until we get EMP, Dragon Blade, Nano Boost online, and just because of how good that first fight for them was, they didn't have to go through 2 phases of that. And so, just the speed at which that happened was really impressive.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean when I say that the fact that they actually put the Nano onto Silver 3 originally, which made all the space that Midgia needed to get to the point that he then had that ult available for the second round, really bypassed what we see most teams do, which is use the poke damage and try to build it up on their own. But I think actually I've been enjoying watching Silver 3 on these more dive heroes, because we've seen him on Reinhardt for a really long time, and I have to say he was kind of less than inspiring. He was sort of okay. There were certain people in the region who were worse than him, but actually the way that he's working with the team in this instance is a lot nicer to watch.
Well, Molaran being very patient, maybe letting his excitement get the better of him there. Wants a hack target, maybe wants a nice clean kill.
He's just keeping tabs on things. He's providing that intel. Now he can say, obviously, the Widowmaker's gone up onto the gate. Wasn't able to get a hack.
In case that wasn't obvious to anybody, suddenly the blue Frenchwoman appears on the top of the gates.
When the attacking team have kind of gone in, that's maybe not where the attention is, and I suspect that that's actually what Merit was trying to do, is sort of get up there once the attentions weren't going to be on him.
Yeah, well, that Doomfist causing a lot of trouble. Midgia clearly quite likes his hero. Seen a lot of that so far today. Not quite able to find the kill. Does get the uppercut onto Kami. That's going to be T1W with a numbers advantage here. LGE maybe want to wait until they've got their DPS back.
This is actually something that is kind of old school T1W, playing the Sombra Genji on the offense, the Sombra Doomfist on the defense, because the Doomfist just has such great disengage potential with the shields that he gains from dealing damage that he can back out very easily.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a hack onto Akami. JMac here getting very close to the prime rage, and the second it comes online, throws it in, looking to try and bully a support, not able to find a kill, getting a huge amount of displace though. But really we want kills rather than displace. Ooh, manages to back out of the EMP, jumps in on top of Mola and takes him out. Hybe able to get Murakami as well, but that is going to be T1W maybe having just the numbers here to swing this around as Mija takes out Molly as well. Going to be coming back out of the fight with 30% of the ultimate. That's a pretty good position to be in, and now it's the ritual dance, the stagger of the pilot from D, but not the longest one of those dances we've seen.
No. Well, JMac knew exactly what he was trying to do there. Just on his own, it kind of wasn't really gonna work out in their favor. So, of course, as you say, T1W able to win that fight out. And now Kami, he's in a position where he has the Dragon Blade, but they're nowhere near another EMP after it just being used. We won't have a Nano Boost because Molly's sitting on the Zenyatta, so it's gonna have to be pretty vanilla. And if Weir can get a sleep onto him, then that Dragon Blade just isn't gonna get any value.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's going to have to be a dry Dragon Blade, but a vanilla Dragon Blade sounds a lot friendlier. There's the hack coming through. Mija finding JMac too already. Mija is doing so much work on this Doomfist, and I don't know, it seems like such an unusual pick for a defense here because, you know, maybe with an Orisi you want to stay bunkered up under, but he's making it work.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is where sometimes you see people play the Winston on the defense here on Temple of Anubis, and they'll go and set themselves up on that ledge that's just in the top left where we're looking now, and they jump down to try and surprise the teams and stun them out, and that's exactly what this Doomfist is. But the Genji now. Yeah,
Genji with the Dragon Blade finds Illusion, and down goes the Supercharger. Nano Boost comes out over onto Silver. JMac able to find Wire here. Silver piling in the damage, starting to get some kills, but JMac still alive, causing trouble in the back line. Mija getting out, getting the health back, wants to get back in the fight if they can help it. 30 seconds now to go for LGE. They might finally be in a position to actually flip this point over.
Yeah, what it looked to me is that T1W, they actually used their EMP in that situation. I thought, this is not a good situation to be in. But because Midgeo wasn't really able to go and follow it up, because he had to go and find health, he was down to 20 HP, that gave LGE the time to recover and then and be able to clean things up themselves. I think an EMP lasts us 6 seconds, so that gave them like a little bit of time because Midgeo just had to be out of the picture. They decided at this point, let's just go back and defend point B. We already know we have the time bank advantage, and it's going to take LGE a little bit of time to get to a point where they can break through us. You know, they don't have a Dragon Blade at this point. Yes, they can use the self-destruct as they're doing now.
Well, that was certainly a self-destruct. Didn't look like it achieved a whole amount. Hybe with one of their own here. Out it comes, that's the EMP and the Dragon Blade as well. Akami does get hacked. Maybe not the biggest impact of the hack. Finds Weir, gets taken out by Molaran. Mija coming in looking for targets, taken down. Also Hybe, Illusion and Molaran hold on to this fight so far. Yeah, finding the Sombra at the end of the fight, going to try and get that cheeky kill at the end. A little bit of a melee from the mech there. Always seems a bit of a cheat that she can punch with a robot. That's got to hurt more than a standard punch, right?
Most likely, I don't really want to find out. But I don't know, I have to say the LG that looked a little bit mishandled. Kami definitely went in for the supports at the back, but right in front of their spawn doors, and Molly hadn't yet got the nano boost. So I don't know why that would have been more valuable than just waiting for the nano and the EMP to be available and using them all in conjunction with one another. You can still go for the supports in that situation, and you still had enough time to do that. It just seemed like, I don't know, a lack of communication or just poor thinking about it. I really don't know.
Well, there's an EMP for you. Hits the majority of T1W. The Valkyrie gets popped as well. JMac gets slept, immediately woken up, has the Primal Rage, gonna bully some old supports in the back line. Falls very, very low, has to get in, finds the hacked health back, ready to go again, back in. Piling in with the Tesla cannon as a self-destruct out as well. Doesn't find anything, buys a bit of space. LGE gonna have to back out for now. We're hitting the 1 minute mark here, and these ults for LGE are very out of sync. Akami has the Dragon Blade again, wants these supports so badly with the help from JMac. Gets weird, but Mija, no ultimate necessary, getting in and getting kills whilst that's going on. A bit of a sideshow there for the Genji, able to get Mija at the end, but not the most impactful of ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, to me, on the side of LGE.Huya, it certainly seems like J-Max the one who kind of has his head screwed on the best, because he seems to have a better idea of like what to go for. He's going to go in, be a little bit more aggressive to actually try and target specific things, and just everyone's kind of out of sync. It's like a jigsaw puzzle that hasn't been put together yet. But now they have less than 20 seconds to go, and straight. Oh, well, actually, no, not an EMP, because he got hacked himself.
Oh, wow, and that's going to be 3 hacked onto T1W. Mary getting the opening pick. Nekrich going down. Silver 2. So with a few seconds left to go, it looks like LGE might just be able to do enough here to keep this alive. Silver gets brought back into the fight. Okami desperately trying to build up this Dragon Blade, managing to dodge that EMP. Going to be coming in with it. Silver on point with the turbocharger ready to go. And it looked to me like that nano boost landed on a pilot diva there. Okami coming in and gets the kill onto Illusion. Looking for more value, highly finding Elensa, and Mija taking out Okami once more. T1W look like they're going to take us to 1-1 in the series. LGE unable to crack that second point on Nubis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought, oh, you know, they're just going to run straight into this Milan run EMP, and then that got hacked out, so he had to kind of wait to do it. But when he did use it, it was the perfect opportunity for Mija.
Yeah, well, let's get a bit more insight from our resident analyst, Nekkra, coming in and tell us all about it.
Well, with 222 becoming more prominent, or just the standard for Overwatch esports, I've always been concerned about seeing teams run a Winston Diva tank combo, and I think that, you know, LGE just kind of showed us why. Like, there just wasn't any follow-up. Like, Geo, you pointed out that J-Mac had the right target priority, but there was no follow-up from the rest of the team to be able to just support J-Mac when he went in. So couldn't really get aggressive as a whole team. Ultimates weren't finding the value that they needed to, and there just wasn't really cohesiveness coming out from LG.
I think one of the really sad things is Kami is a player who we used to really sing the praises of, because he's actually got a great Pharah, and now he's coming in trying to play the Genji because you know, we saw from T1W's push that actually Genji is a pretty good hero to play if you can get enough out of him. But I don't know if he's kind of feeling the pressure, or if he's just being a little bit too opportunistic, or whatever it is, but he's not in sync with how the ultimate should be being used, and it just constantly put LGE.Huya in a position where they didn't have the resources that they were saving up for to use them in the way that they'd hopefully originally planned to.
Poor Molly, too, as well, on LG. He was just getting bullied in the back line there, whether it was by Mijio or if it was by Molinrand. There just wasn't a break. Poor Molly. I'm so sorry, but it did leave the team without quite a bit of that substantial healing, whether they were on Zenyatta or Ana. There just wasn't there for him.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, as always, Nekrich, for your insights. So we're going to be going over to yet another map, no surprises, but we are going to take a short break before we do that, so don't go too far, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Here we go into map 3. We're going to be going to my personal favorite map in the entire roster of maps, Numbani, for our hybrid map.
Oh, nice. Well, Numbani is going to be pretty interesting, because it could be that we see some very similar things come out, at least on the first point, to what we did in Temple of Anubis, which of course went in the way of T1W, if you're just catching up with us now. And that means that we could end up seeing some more Sombra, Genji, Ana come out from T1W on their attack, which got so much value that their map pretty much went in the blink of an eye on Temple of Anubis there.
Yeah, it really did. By comparison, LGE doing their absolute best to try and crack that felt like it took a very, very long time, and in the end, not quite able to take that second point. So this has really been a really up and down series so far. When you look at sort of the alternating performance of LGE and T1W in the control map, and then T1W taking that last one, I really am glad I'm not in the position where I have to predict how this map's going to go, how this match in general is going to go, because I don't think I could do it.
One of the very unique things about this series is that, kind of as mentioned at the beginning, this was the grand final matchup from last season. But because this is just entering into a new meta that neither of these teams have been kind of playing in regardless for the group stage, they've both been ignoring 2-2-2. So we have these two teams who are supposed to be incredibly good, and we're getting a very kind of backwards and forwards, strange, game so far, where we're seeing some obvious mistakes. when this time last season we were thinking, wow, those teams, they're so good. Like, I don't know, like, you know, it's actually really, really bizarre. But, you know, as we enter into the map now, we'll start to see who is attacking, who is defending. And if T1W on their attack decide that they are going to bring back the, you know, Genji Sombra, I would at the very least like to see Molly on LGE do a little bit more work to add some sleeps. Although right now, not looking like that's what we're going to be seeing. Instead, it's going to be LGE starting things off on the attack, but going to be making a rotation around, bringing back the Merit McCree.
Yeah.
Merit. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work, does it?
It was a good try. But yeah, gonna be using this one. Well, I was gonna say using this sort of creeping bunker, but when you take out the main source of protection for that bunker straight away, that's gonna be a go back to spawn, do not pass go, do not collect 200 Blizzbox sort of moment.
And this is really what Milan Run's going to provide. I mean, Farah is very good here on the first point of Numbani. It's sort of been one of those things that's been known since the inception of Overwatch, and being able to fire these rockets straight into the only entrance that gets LGE.Huya up to where they want to be. All right, Midgie is hacked out. That's not going to be great, but Milan Run is still free to do as he wishes.
Yeah, well, able to translocate out there. I don't know if me just spotted that or decided it wasn't worth the chase. So that's going to be the D-Mech over onto High B. LGE potentially opening this up as Molaran falls to Merit 2. The follow-up, Illusion down to Sven, and Mija taken out as well. LGE played that so well.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see T1W actually try to recontest this, but they're not going to do it. They're just going to let LGE have the point, and they're going to back up and start preparing their next defense here on the corner, where they can start to put the Orisa shield down and everybody else play from. This gives them a nice position where they can kind of set up and have control over their area, some protection. And it's LGE who have to make their way forward. Nice
Where did that sleep come from?
Well, that would have come from Huya, my dear friend.
Oh, I learn more every time I cast with you. Thanks, Geos. Mullen already building up to another barrage. Didn't get a huge amount of value out of the last one. Sven on the flank. On the flanks always, but right into the Doomfist, hook them out of that dive. Mullen finds Merit, and now we've got the coming in from Mija, finds Molly, immortality down. Mija free to do what he would like, hacked, in danger, managing to get the follow-up. Beautiful support from T1W, all piling in on the back of Mija to stop him dying.
Yeah, that was really nice there. We'll probably be seeing this defense move up a little bit because this spawn is right below this kind of catwalk up here. That means that they'll very easily be able to kind of jump down onto LGE.Huya, making their way around the corner.
They've backed off. They've bought themselves a few more seconds of defense, and really, at this level of play, that sort of second-by-second advantage is really, really impactful. So the hack comes out, it gets, well, maybe a little bit of value as we see Sven able to get the follow-up and take down Silver. That's going to be quite a lot of the defense for T1W down. Once you lose your Orisa in that sort of environment, it can be very hard to hold this fight.
Yeah, but nonetheless, they'll be happy that they managed to chew through some of that time bank, because often the fights heading up to this kind of next archway, this car wash area, can be quite prolonged because of the sheer nature of the archway.
Man, Merit is so focused on trying to find Molaran. Molaran had to back out, but goes for the wraparound, throws in the barrage, does a lot of softening there, not a lot of killing blows, and the concussive blast knocks the Roadhog back again. Just needs to be careful, falling desperately close into the range of the hook if they're not too careful. LGE fighting a moving retreat at the minute. Molaran not really in a mood to let them have it. Well, there's the Transcendence out from Molly. We use the High Noon used to get, well, just Mija. Mija immediately rezzed back up. Akami looking for more hacks. Not able to actually connect with anything, taking too much splash damage there to actually connect with anything. Merit finds Illusion, and that's going to be another nice big opening. The hack onto Mija. Akami knows exactly what their win condition is here, and Molaran does manage to get the barrage in. Not enough for them to carry that team fight all the way to the end. Merit swinging around wildly, looking for the flying Winston. Silver 3 taken down as LGE take point 2.
Yeah, we actually saw how Milanran tried to use his concussive blast to push members of LGE closer to his team so that they could, you know, they were aggressing, they could try and get some damage in, but that's when the Transcendence came out, and that kind of turned things on the head and put T1W in that disadvantageous position. So, no matter, they just pick themselves up, go again, return from spawn. Mid-year's looking to maybe get something from behind, especially if you can catch out that back line, which is, there we go, bringing down Molly.
Exactly what they wanted. Get rid of any possibility of a Transcendence. EMP onto T1W. Not going to affect Mija, who does get stunned by the flashbang, able to get out of there without taking too much damage. There's a sleep there. Briefly on to the Diva. Mija with the chase, wants these kills, wants them badly. Now trying to get back to the team without getting taken out.
And this is what I kind of meant by this kind of car wash era being pretty hard, because you have to commit to going all the way through that tunnel, or you can go around the outside over the top, but obviously you're not on the payload that way. So it's actually quite easy to lose out on those fights when the defending team can either get round to the other side of you, or they can fire damage straight down the tunnel. And this is where you can often find that you get held for quite a long time.
Well, Self-Destruct comes out, not a huge amount of value out of that. And Mija, the deadly DPS duo, starting to open up the team fight once again. However, J-Mac able to find Mija. Lancer coming back in on the Baptiste now, looking to maybe add a little bit more protection there, but Motherman able to find a D-Mech Sven. Not a great opening for LGE as they struggle to make it through this car wash area still.
Yeah, they will eventually get through, and the important thing is that they do already have the payload past the checkpoint. Having the Baptiste will be great, as there's not that much, you know, map cover, so they'll require that protection.
Ooh, nice hack there onto Mija. The follow-up is good. That's going to be a Kami taking them down. Has the EMP ready to go here. This could absolutely crack this final point open for LGE.
But he's going to translocate up to the air. Oh no, he's just going to go straight for hacking Milanran instead of throwing the translocator in the air. That means he's keeping his EMP for now.
Yeah, Merit staying in the position where they can use some of that damage boost coming out of the amplification matrix, opting just to pile that all into Mija instead. The EMP is out, hits everybody. Weird Illusion does have the Valkyrie online though. Might be able to do just enough to keep them in the fight. Merit getting focused down there by the Winston. Milanran coming in too, but Sven turns that right around. 2 with the self-destruct, but it's not going to be enough. T1W getting the kills to hold this. 40 seconds left on the clock. No ultimates online for LGE. This is going to be a real struggle.
And that's huge, because LG were really relying on that EMP, and now Miji is going to be able to potentially bring down that backline, whether on his own or with the Meteor Strike. It doesn't really matter. It's going to put a lot of pressure onto Molly. He's not really anywhere close to his Transcendence just yet, but in a pretty brawly fight, he may be able to build it up, and that's something that could really help LG. Milanran going down is huge, though.
Yeah, that's a big opener, but 10 seconds, they've got to get in now. Kami finding Illusion. Mija down. IB takes out the Immortality Field. Merit will have this High Noon ready to go again. It will go through that Orisa Shield if it can do enough damage to a locked-on target. Looking to take the high ground. Wants to get out of the range of any obvious incoming damage. There's the Tracer on the field now. Merit taken out in the middle of the High Noon. Mija finds him up there on the high ground. Kami now looking for an angle on the hack. Mija focused down also. LGE might just be able to force this out. There's the EMP. It hits 3. Wire with the nano boost. Not able to do a huge amount to keep their team up. Sven getting rid of Illusion. Swapping over briefly onto the brick to try and brawl out this fight. And we've got the Wrecking Ball trying to spin stall this out. The self-destruct from Hybe. Not able to get anything except the D-Mech. And that looks like that might be a hold there.
Really disappointing there for LGE. They tried so many things to, you know, guarantee them getting to that third point. We saw Merit kind of go hide in the bushes so he could use his Deadeye without being bothered, and Miji was still able to sniff him out. It just wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't. But to give us a little more insight into what was going on in that round, let's throw briefly to Nekkra.
I love LGE's strategy of trying to force the fight to be more ground-oriented, but ultimately there's just so much verticality on Numbani, and T1W was able to take advantage of that while LGE was kind of stuck in their ways there. So T1W was able to hold them at the front. Finally, when they rounded that corner, it really felt like things were going to pick up for LGE, but T1W knows exactly what to flex to when they need to, so they were able to take advantage of the environment there.
I think a really big problem that LGE are kind of facing is that because Midgia has proven to be such a nuisance while on the Doomfist, LGE they can do one of two. They could do both, I suppose, but they need to do one of two things. Sven needs to be working harder on peeling. Now, obviously, you're not always on a diva. Sometimes you're going for the Roadhog to go and pair up with your Orisa, but it should really be the job of the off tank to be peeling for your backline supports. And given that Molly is spending a lot of time on Zenyatta rather than the Ana, that makes him all the more vulnerable. And so that leads me to think the second thing that perhaps we should be seeing is maybe Molly switching on over to the Ana, because those sleep darts could be so valuable when you're going against players that are playing heroes that are going to rush at you very quickly, especially while you're vulnerable and on your own in the backline. So it looks like he's going to be sticking onto the Zenyatta, which is still understandable, you know, when you have the Orb of Discord, especially if you're going against a Pharah or a Mercy and you want to bring them down. But, you know, obviously it's pros and cons.
Yeah, they do lose Midgia in the fight early on. Molaran is able to get Lensa as well. Molaran still looking for targets, but is going to concussive blast their way out of that. Hybe taken down. Not a huge amount of stagger there. So, Lingen Esports still in control of the point for now.
I think what we're going to end up looking for is Malamran just getting a really good angle where he can either get a concussive blast and push all of LGE.Huya down, giving T1W a good opening, or he'll just get some really good rockets in and still get a really good opening. But either way, I suspect the Malamran is going to be the one who ends up providing the opportunity for T1W.
Yeah, almost definitely. Midgia opens things up, initiates into the fight with a little bit of help from the Wrecking Ball there, but receives the Orb of Discord, has to get out. Midgia taken down already. Seems like a very difficult bunker. Try and Doomfist into a beautiful hook onto the Mercy. Not quite managing to connect with it. That illusion, a slippery fish, gets out of the way of Sven, but Merit there to take him out. And a flashbang, drops down, found the hammer. Thank you, Grandma. Back to spawn, try again.
But you can see that LGE, they're constantly going for illusion. They want to bring down that Mercy because they don't want to, you know, have that fuel being pumped into Malamran. They know how much he is doing. Now he has the barrage. He can get behind this shield very easily. In fact, we can actually see through the wall him starting to float around and get ready to face the back of this composition. So LGE, they can put down the Immortality field, but that only has an HP of 250 and it's going against the 3600 DPS barrage.
Man, Midgia generated enough shields to survive quite a lot of the Fan the Hammer to the face there. Merit's down already. Illusion brings Silver back into the fight. There's the barrage coming out from Molanran. Midgia uses the confusion to take Sven out of the fight, and this might be where T1W crack this point. There is still the possibility of a contest. There's an Orisa there looking for an angle to get on the point. Merit finds Molanran, opens this right the way back up again. EMP, self-destruct, Hydoon, everything going at this fight. Hybe able to get J-Mac here as well. Is that going to be enough for them to keep this fight going? Weir with the double getting Merrick and Akami as well. This is looking very good. They've turned this right the way around. Got to get rid of the whole hog and it's gone. T1W capture point A.
That was actually very smart there from Malamran, using the concussive to push J-Mac forward, because it meant, okay, J-Mac could be left to die, but then it's going to take him longer to get back from spawn, and LGE can't put up their defense. So what LGE did was they all moved forward as well, used the Transcendence to try and stay alive and stall out the point, which was just... They knew that it wasn't going to work. They knew it was a bad idea, but it was all they could do to actually try and stay together as a team. And now that put them in a position where they couldn't hold the defense that they would have wanted to, purely because J-Mac was trying to move forward.
Yeah, we've got a change now though. Molanran coming in on the Sombra. A beautiful, almost casual kill coming out from Midgia there. Connects once more with Lensa, down and out. Hybe finding Sven as well. T1W, it took them a little time to take that first point, but they are planning on speed running point 2.
It certainly looks like it. I mean, LG, they'll get in another contestation. So there's still time, but they just don't really have anything to use. Maybe Kami can build up his EMP. He's been doing it kind of quick. Oh, actually, I was wrong. They're not going to get another contest. They could have if they wanted to, but it looked like they just wanted to set up this new defense instead, in which they're going to be running the Brig alongside the Ana. So they're kind of relinquishing some of the healing that they could potentially have, because they want to be able to stun out Midgia.
That was a great hook, but it got interrupted by Mija coming in to save Illusion. Now playing on Lucia, the Nanoboost goes out onto Mija, struggling to find any value with it. Does manage to get a punch in onto J-Mac, taken down with the melee. I always think it's weird that he uses the small fist for those melee kills, but here we are. LGE keeping it on rolling. 3 minutes, 29 seconds left, and not that much further to go.
Well, T1W, again, this could be the next map that they take. All they have to do is get it a few more meters, less than 10. Milanron's ready with this EMP.
Opts not to use it just yet, and that's going to be one coming. Oh, and the counter EMP looks about even. 4 for 3, not a bad trade. Hybe able to get Akami out of that, and the follow-up hack onto the mech. It's going to secure the D-mech onto Sven. Mullerman dies to the high noon, however. In the meantime, see the Nanoboost contested as well. Merit doing their best to keep this alive, manages to help get the kill there onto Mija. Fires in that Peacekeeper to get rid of Hybe's mech, even when they had that ultimate ready to go. So T1W putting up a bit more of a fight here. Don't want to let this one go just yet.
No, I mean, they have time, and this is the really crucial thing here, is actually Milanron using his EMP second meant that LGE had to invest their ultimates at the end there to actually try and hope to, you know, cling on to the vestiges of the measurement of the distance that was left. That they could actually try to protect, and that means in this next fight they won't have those available, which is something T1W do have.
That's why a Hacked can't use that Nanoboost just yet. Might not need to use it for a little while longer. Did that Sleep didn't actually connect with anything, but out comes the minefield from Silver. That's going to make it that bit harder for LGE to get in the contest. Merit here looking for a target. Doesn't find anything with the high noon. Looks like they might have got a little bit of credit there for that kill onto Mija, and yeah, very good work at shooting those mines. Very impressed.
They're still ever closer, and they've got the nano sitting in their pocket. I mean, Hybe will likely try to open things up with the self-destruct, but look how it looks like. Well, I was gonna say maybe a couple of them coming in from the back. Silver 3 wants to provide that distraction, but the second that nano has been applied, regardless of on whom, I suspect it'll be Migia, then so much havoc is going to be wreaked upon LGE. They want to be looking for this EMP again to use. Yeah,
well, there's Nanoboost. Hybe able to get one with the self-destruct. Mija finds Molly in spawn. The D-Mech. However, J-Mac and Akami getting rid of Mulleran and Illusion. J-Mac coming up big in the kill feed. Finds 2 to keep this ball rolling for LGE.Huya. Gonna have to let T1W have another crack at this. LGE still in control of the defense, and less than a minute to go.
Yeah, this is huge. As you say, less than a minute. And LGE looked like they were so close at taking this. And of course, they could still take it. But in this time that has been stored out, LGE have been gathering their own percentages. And so they have resources that they can use. It's now them who has the nano. It's them who can have that extra sustenance and damage boost.
Oh, Mija gets the opening with Molly going down. We see Lensa drop 2. Mulleran getting the better of Akami, but the high noon and the self-destruct get 2. Mija with the Meteor Strike able to find Sven, but this is now down to stalling this out as long as possible. Mija can't be left uncontested because he's going to get in and get those kills onto your DPS, and your support going to help do enough to knock them off the point as T1W take us to 2-1 in the series.
It was all in that last sound barrier. It gave T1W the power, the shields that they required to move on forward without fear. And at that point, there was only so much LGE.Huya could do.
Yeah, well, let's talk to Nekkra. Nekkra, what have you got to tell us about that matchup?
LGE vastly overcompensated for the threat of Migia on that Doomfist, and it left them with a lot of holes for their support line. Molly, again, getting completely bullied. I want to see maybe a Lucio from LGE. I know it's pretty common that with the composition that LGE is running, let's send our diva after the Doomfist, but that doesn't necessarily work. There's not really enough peel, and I think even for some points of that they were running a Roadhog. So I just want to see a little bit of a change there for how LGE decides to compete against this Doomfist.
I mean, Lungza certainly has experience on Lucio. You know, he's been playing with Molly for a very long time, as we just kind of look at some of these highlights here and see how T1W were just able to do it. But yeah, he certainly has a lot of experience on the Lucio. So there's certainly the chance that if they did decide to run that, then there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't at least be serviceable. The situation that I fear about that T1W may be in now is, let's hypothetically say that they make it through to the semi-finals. Well, if they make it through to the semi-finals, they would be playing against, Billy Gaming. And at this point, Migia has almost consistently been playing the Doomfist. He's gone off it a couple of times, but this seems to kind of be the key to their success. Well, what happens when that becomes too predictable? What happens when they don't have something else to pull out, when Migia starts to be shut down? That's the problem that could end up occurring if this is what T1W consistently default to.
Maybe it's the other DPS that's in their back pocket there, but we haven't seen any of that this time. So I think whatever's working is working, and we're going to see T1W stick to that for the series.
Yeah,
I certainly believe that.
Group stages is where you typically hide your strats. So now is the time where we're going to see if there are those DPS in the back pockets. We've got at least one more map coming up. Maybe we'll see something a bit spicier from Migia. Jono's after the break to find out. Welcome back, everybody. Here we go. Potentially the last map of the series. Of course, it's first to 3 in this particular format. One winner, GZA, currently sitting at 2-1 over LGE.Huya. So, Geo, one map to go. How do we think it's going to go?
At this point, T1W have given me the idea that they are the better of these two teams right now, because yeah, things didn't go their way on Control, and there have been a couple of times in the last couple of maps where, more Numbani than Temple of Anubis, but where it sort of looked like it could go to LGE, but it's always in those last moments that T1W are actually able to turn things around. Even if LGE have more ultimates, even if it looks like they're not going to be able to build ultimates in time or whatnot, T1W have always kind of found a way to really flip the coin, regardless of how much it looks like it's in LGE's favor. And I think a lot of this is, of course, we've mentioned it before, depending on how much value Migia particularly is getting out. And we've seen LGE over the course of the series try to put some more effort into particularly targeting him, whether it's with freezing, whether it's with hacking, whether it's with stunning. They switched over to a Brigitte as one of their supports, specifically for that reason, because then they could maybe stun the Doomfist as he jumps in onto the backline, and nothing has been working for them so far. So Havana is going to be our next map. And I'll be honest, this is a map that I don't think I've seen Doomfist played on thus far, but there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, it's lacking in a lot of that high ground. Yeah, there are a couple of bits and pieces, particularly in the second stage of the map. But yeah, generally, it's not great setup for Doomfist.
No, I don't think so. And it's actually... can we see any Doomfists here?
No, it looks like it's going to be Mei Hanzo.
Yeah, that's fairly unsurprising. The Mei, especially on this first point here, you can put the wall to block off the street. It's kind of narrow. There we go. Straight up. First wall going up, and the Hanzo, of course, provides the shield break.
Yeah, wall v wall, and sometimes that Hanzo provides the kill. Narrow it down to Muller and Voley in the fight. Big hook, and actually the whole kind of counteracting that hook sort of saved that Roadhog there, but Akami gets the better of Migia. That's a hook. High B separated out, takes a breather, gets out. But this is incredibly tradey, this fight so far, and it looks like LGE might have the upper hand here.
Yeah, they're starting to get the payload moving here, and the spawn for the defenders here is actually a little bit of a commute away, so they have to make sure they're all coming back together, because there's really no point in coming back straggling, because you'll just lose this entire point. So maybe they can start to set up a shield around this ticket booth area, but so far, so much of this space is being guarded by Merit that actually looks like it'll be quite hard.
Oh, wow, that was beautiful. Managing to just get that Storm Arrow in onto Silver as the Amp Matrix went up and the wall came up. That wall itself was beautiful, blocked out a lot of value, but it did not save Silver, who is now going to be swapping over onto the Wrecking Ball.
Nice and started here. There we go. There's the Dragon Strike coming out, but actually it was fairly fast for LGE to even get to this point. Out comes the Blizzard, though.
Yeah, the Blizzard and the whole hog, and that is going to be point A capped. Sven maybe would like one more kill. Has the hook, not able to connect onto Weir. Oh, but Lensa able to get in and take out Weir. And this is still going on. These tanks are out for blood.
Well, now LG, they're going to actually start to set up on this high ground here. Great place here in the distillery that you may want to set things up. And actually interesting here how they're using this corner as sort of, you know, a natural area of protection, because what this means is they're protected from the back and from the front. It's going to make it a lot harder for T1W to go against them.
Yeah, that's the Dragon committed by Merit, not able to find anything. Down goes the Immortality Field. Molanran has a bead on Merit. The hook kill onto Molanran, though. LGE keeping this going. The Blizzard is out, but we've also got the Transcendence alive from Molly. Not enough to keep Lensa up. Down goes the Immortality Field as well. Sven having to take a breather. Whole Hog interrupted. Hybe saved once more by the Immortality Field. Halted back into view, falling low, taken down by Sven. Merit once more with a kill onto Silver, now back on the Orisa. This is looking like very much the last fight for this point for LGE, and they may well cap it here.
Yeah, this has actually been really fast, especially at this point particularly is so defender orientated. But T1W would just, they kind of failed to get in fast enough to set up a good defense. Out comes the Amp Matrix and the Transcendence from T1W to try and protect.
Yeah, man, they really want to go all in on this fight. Hybe is able to get Molly to open this up, but Sven eats Molanran's Dragon, and there's just not enough of T1W left to really keep this going. They're doing an admirable job of burning time off the clock, but not enough to stall them out.
It seems this is really a situation and a composition where LGE is starting to really find their feet. Kami doing very well on the Mei. And that's, you know, you always like to see, especially the DPS players, really getting the opportunity to play those heroes that they feel a lot more comfortable on, that they've played a lot more on. And Merit, I have to say, I think this is the first time I've seen him on the Hanzo.
Yeah.
Seems to be doing fairly well.
Yeah, Ninja with another Blizzard. Maybe not been the quickest to generate these so far, but they are going to take down the Immortality Field. Having to use the Ice Block there. We'll probably give them that last little tick over onto getting that ultimate online ready to go. Molanran in the back, looking for targets. Going toe-to-toe with Merit here. Out comes the... Whoa, in fact, a couple of kills, 3 kills in quick succession coming out from LGE.Huya there. Thanks in no small part to that Amp Matrix, so helpfully provided by Lensa.
I mean, putting up the wall, as we saw Kami do there, at the exact same time as the Supercharger, is really great, because it means that, you know, boosted damage has to spend some time bringing down the wall before it can actually touch anybody of the team. And it's part of the reason that LG are able to just swoop on into this very last point here.
Well, that's going to be Dragons coming out from Merit. T1W looking like they might have the upper hand if they can get this Blizzard off in the right place. Out it comes. Whoa, but a 2k bomb out from Sven's. Wasn't going to neutralize any value that we may have had from that Blizzard. That's going to be a Kami free in the backline to start putting the freeze in onto the Roadhog. Gets the kill. Up with the wall. Going to get that angle. Meteor down as well. LGE bravely facing that Dragon as it rolls in over the payload, but they are going to push that in uncontested to the end.
And that was really just very quick. I mean, there's only so much you can kind of say in a situation like that where you sort of blink and suddenly you're at the end. Just those kinds of compositions worked out so much better for LGE than they did for T1W.
Yeah, but let's throw it to our analyst to give us a little more insight into what just happened.
Got a little bit of stuff to say here, and honestly, LG is going for more of a shield break strategy. They look a lot more practiced on this composition, just like Geo said, and they're kind of intelligent, realizing how heavily T1W was relying on Silver's Orisa shield to really defend the points. So they generated a lot of momentum from LGE, focusing down that shield, focusing down that Orisa, and just smooth sailing through to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was just so quick for them to be able to take it. And I think, you know, part of it maybe comes down to the fact that this is a situation where we're seeing Midge actually have to flex onto something that he's not so used to playing. Whereas Kami, we have seen him on the Mei before, and is probably a little bit more well-rehearsed in it. So, you know, Midge, while he may know exactly what to do, what he should be doing, he's just not getting quite as much out of it. And the thing that we've consistently said over the course of this series that has been kind of putting T1 T1W that one step ahead of LGE is the fact that their damage dealers have been doing so much more and getting so much more value and have been drawing out more resources from LGE, who have had to invest them in order to deal with it. But in this case, they just haven't been having to do that because they've been beating out T1W in this situation. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say I would have preferred to have seen T1W playing a Sombra, because I feel like they could have got more value out of that. You know, Midgey are going to get taken down straight away on the Widowmaker. He's certainly not known for his Widowmaker. So it would surprise me to see him if he were to stay on that. There we go, he's actually switching back on over to the Mei.
Looking for an early pick, I think, there. But, I mean, what this does suggest is that, actually, this is really clever by LGE to pick this map, because they know that Midgey is strong on the Doomfist and not on a lot else.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly not a Doomfist map.
No, not at all. LGE having to back out for the minute. T1W starting to push the payload up down main. Big Holt comes out. It's going to find Midgey as part of that. The big Holt hook taking Midgey out. I mean, and this is such a good adaptation. Like, the fact that they know they've got to focus Midgey to really help this through is just such a good sign that the coaching for LGE.Huya is really working out for them, helping them make these decisions.
Yeah, you know, they get rid of him, they get rid of the threat, they get rid of this chance for him to build the Blizzard. I mean, look, Midgey on 21% while Kami already has his Blizzard. That's crazy. That's not the kind of disparity we're used to seeing in Ultimates. They know that Midgey just isn't getting any value, and that essentially T1W are lacking that extra DPS player.
Yeah, wow, Molly with a bit of help there from the Amp Matrix, able to get a quick 2. It's going to help keep that ult online, keeps the lights on, as it were. Man, T1W are being just locked in spawn right now, and Midgey in that last fight got 12% on that ult. That's basically passive charge.
Yeah, I have to say, this is like low-key funny. Not, you know, not in a really horrible way, but just T1W, they were so dominant in previous maps, and now they're suddenly in this position where they're really struggling, and LGE are suddenly in the position where they have the upper hand.
Yeah, well, there's the Blizzard out. Dragons from Mol and Rien. In fact, dueling dragons both on the field at the minute. Silver the only one to die to anything there. Sven with a whole hog getting 2 and the Immortalis field. And that's going to be another team fight win for LGE.Huya. 1 minute 44 seconds left on the clock. When you think of how quick the LGE attack was on this map, this is really looking bad for T1W.
It's just, at this point, T1W, why are you staying on the Mei? Why are you doing this? Why do you think that this is going to work out for you? Sure, maybe the Doomfist isn't the ideal, you know, hero to be using on this map. Maybe you could switch to a Pharah. We do see Pharah on this map sometimes, but then you wouldn't have a Mercy, and maybe that's why they're not doing it. There are so many different heroes that, of course, you could switch to, try out, at least do something that likely would be getting more value than this Mei, because currently Midgey is really struggling.
Yeah, well, because they finally have that Blizzard online. Amp Matrix out from Lenses, going to do a lot of damage into Illusion, so T1W having to wait that out. Out comes a Blizzard finally from Midgey, but LGE.Huya, they make the classic anti-Blizzard maneuver and just walk slightly out of range. Yeah, Hybe now has the whole hog ready to go. Amplification Matrix down, but in a pretty bad position and stacked with the supercharger as well. And even with all that, the only kill that comes out of that is Merit getting rid of, I believe that was Illusion. So we've got 25 seconds left on the points, on the timer even, and this is looking almost impossible for T1W.
They pretty much just advertise themselves as being free range to have a Blizzard put in, because they use those things in succession with one another so quickly, and now it's unlikely they're even going to be able to touch, and I think we'll be going to a map 5, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been so dominant for LGE, almost like they're a different team. When you look at how much they struggled in Numbani, to be this dominant on Havana is kind of a crazy flip.
And this just may, you know, right now, to some people watching, be thinking, well, okay, map 5, T1W have been doing great. But remember, we mentioned at the beginning, they're not good at control maps. So this is the point where T1W have got to be concerned.
Yeah, this is absolutely the potential coin flip of a map. And to try and make the prediction as to what side that coin's going to land in, let's throw it to Nekkra.
I think that coin's going to land for LGE. They were able to play composition that just lent itself really well to the strengths that LGE had. A lot of it with cohesiveness, a lot of it with just the ability to just win that compositional battle. Geo, you hit it on the head there. Midgia is kind of a wild card when it comes down to their play style. So having them on this Mei that needs to have a lot of cohesion and a lot of collaboration with the rest of the team, I don't think was T1W's strongest choice that they've made today. So going into this control map, this last map that's going to decide it all, I really want to see T1W step it up a little bit, maybe go back to that disruptive style of composition.
Yeah, I mean, T1W in this map constantly knew they were on the underhand, and so they were investing their resources into dealing with what LGE were able to do just kind of in that vanilla fashion without, using their resources. And of course, once you've actually put in those ults and whatever it is else you want to put in, that just leaves you completely open to be at the mercy of the abilities that the opponent has available to them. And that's kind of what we saw at the end there, where LGE just threw in their Blizzard as soon as the Amp Matrix, the Immortality Field, the Supercharger were used at the same time by T1W. And it kind of makes me think and kind of theorize that one issue that T1W have kind of had in the group stages is holding on to their ults for too long. But it looks like they tried to kind of change this and use their ults a little bit more freely. And it hasn't really been an issue in the last couple of maps because they've been doing so well with Midgia. But as soon as they're in the position where they don't have that, that's where we're seeing the issue with their ultimates.
Yeah, well, thank you very much again for your input, Nekkra. But this is where it comes down to one team moving forward into next week's semi-finals, one team going home. Come join us for Map 5 after a short break. Here we go right down to the wire. First to 3, here comes Map 5. The one winner, GZA versus Lingan Esports Huya. And this really could go either way, couldn't it, Gio?
Yeah, this is a situation where LG started off strong and then T1W just looked so dominant in a way that kind of made us doubt what the sort of prospects for LGE were. And then Havana came around and changed everything. And now we're coming back to our control map. Busan, obviously we started off on Ilios, and as you say, it could go either way because T1W, we've seen what their strengths are, we've identified them, but one of their big weaknesses, control maps. And so this team, who we thought were going to be doing so well, who we thought would have the upper hand in this series, potentially going to be knocked out of the playoffs right here and right now.
Yeah, and of course the performance on that last map has to be having some sort of knock-on effect on their confidence because, I mean, to put it bluntly, they were kind of dumpstered in that last map. You know, they hardly got the payload up main streets, you know, and then coming into that going, guys, can we even do this?
I think they will be thinking, they will know that a lot of the issues on that map will come from the fact that they were forced to play into play a composition that they aren't comfortable with, they don't have practice on, they're not familiar with. They had to put their star player on a hero that he's evidently not very good at. So I think there will be that, and they will know that that's quite isolated and an issue from Havana. But then they will be going into this knowing that actually control is really not the one for them. And so there will be some overlap in there. And I mean, they've had kind of a pretty definite strategy on control so far from what we've seen of them. I mean, when they played against Billy Gaming last week, which actually, funnily enough, if they win this series, they'll be up against Billy Gaming next week in the semifinals. But when they played Billy Gaming last week, they lost Busan to them. Now, what we kind of saw them going for was Milan Ram was playing on the Sombra, and whoever Milan Ram was able to hack, that's who they went for. And that's a pretty good strategy, fairly solid. We see that from a lot of teams, but generally the responsibility and kind of the likelihood of success was on him, depending who he managed to hack, where those openings lied, and the rest of the team obviously had to follow up. And the question is, are they going to be able to do that?
Yeah, Modern Ran almost found out there. Hack will come through onto Lensa, now on board with Merit, looking to try and get some dinks in from the back line there. Has spotted that there is a Weir off in the distance, piling it. Whoa! High beam 3 with the displacement.
Insane.
Crazy. That fight looked like it was going so heavily in favor of LGE that I didn't think T1W could bring it back, but, well, High beam found a way.
It kind of looks like T1W just They aren't really gonna hold back, really. I mean, LGE, they, you know, went for all this high ground shenanigans earlier on in the series and completely won out. But T1W are just saying, well, what's been working for us so far in this series? It's been aggression with Midgia, with Hybe. We're just going to go for that.
Well, that'll work. That's it. Yeah, coming down straight away. Silver dies in the exchange, but 1-for-1, maybe not the worst thing in the world. Hybe will very shortly have the ultimate. J-Mac gets 2, though. Merit very quickly coming up on this ultimate. So T1W had an early lead here, but it looks like that's going to be all for naught. Hybe looking to get out of the way. Midgia getting in and doing work. Finds 2. Both supports down. Hybe finds Merit. T1W twice now in a row have looked like they were about to be smashed off the point and just find a way to bring it right the way back.
J-Mac really needs to start playing with the team a little bit more, because a couple of times this series we've seen him go for the objective, leaving people behind. And when you have a situation like that where Midgia gets nano boosted and is in your backline, and your main tank is all the way up ahead sitting on the point and then able to be brought down very easily, you're not really going to get anywhere.
Self-destruct out from Hybe. Only finds the immortality field. Merit now being hassled with Sombra in the back. Going to hack him out of the ability to use that high noon. Maybe a difficult map to actually get a huge amount of value out of the high noon with. There's the EMP. Hits 4. Akami taken down. Molly down 2. J-Mac also. T1W looking like they're starting to turn around their reputation on control maps.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, come on, if this works out, it's a bit late. They could have done this earlier in the season, right? Give themselves a little bit of a better seeding, potentially. But all that matters is they do it when it matters, and that is right now. And Midgia once again nano boosted. Yeah,
with the nano boost. Got to wait for some of those cooldowns to come back to actually make use of it. Well, doesn't even need to.
You know.
I think that was LGE going, oh, heck. There's a nano-boosted Doomfist and just running away from the point.
LGE are kind of scared, and we saw them hanging around a couple of times, and obviously they knew that Milan Run was being played on the Sombra, and they were kind of paranoid about him as well. They weren't building their ults as fast because they weren't being aggressive. They were putting too much kind of the expectation onto Merit, potentially, because earlier on he was the one who got most of the value while playing on the control. And yeah, as you say, that all kind of went a little bit wrong for LGE here. But of course, moving on into Sanctuary, T1W are going to be playing pretty much the exact same thing as they were before. LGE, they're going to be going for something a little bit more based around, you know, protection, their safety. They want to anchor down. And of course, if Kami can get those great blizzards like he was before, that would be a fantastic position for LG to be in.
Oh, Merrick got big hassled there and knocked out by Midgia. The immortality field not enough to survive it, but Midgia taking down himself very shortly thereafter. And, well, you know, we've got a lot of point presence there. Illusion taken down 2. Freeze is going to come out from Akami. From Kami even, sorry. And, yeah, that's going to be Hybe losing the mech. Not able to boop anyone into the pit this time. And LGE.Huya take first possession of the point.
We actually saw Kami really try to get Milan Run there. I mean, that's what he's doing here. He's kind of freezing around to try and catch that Sombra out. Milan Run was able to get away in that instance, but, you know, if that happens again and he does get frozen, that's going to be a huge problem for T1W. And it's like LGE have identified that Milan Run is really going to be kind of the win condition alone here for...
Well, Nano boosted Midgia gets 2. There is going to be a Blizzard online for Kami. Maybe he doesn't want to use it here. A lot of his team down already as Midgia gets a 3rd, taken out by J-Mac for the 2nd time in a row. Merit on the sideline will have the Dragons. Again, lots of TW1 still alive. Very few for LGE. Looks like they may be in a position to flip this point round.
Yeah. Finally done that, and of course Silver 3 having the minefield there, he'll be able to protect that point fairly well, especially if LG will kind of rush in, but they're not really playing a rushing kind of composition. Milan gonna look for a pretty, maybe a hack, maybe just waiting to be able to use his EMP in a position where the rest of his team can dive on. He does get that hack though.
Oh, yeah, beautiful hack and great follow-up. Midgia dives right into try and get the follow-up. Hasn't really worked out as Molly is going to put pay to Midgia's efforts. Merit and Akami racking up the kills now, and LGE.Huya look like they're going to come back in and take this. Ivy's poor, unfortunate D-Mech mech taken out there by the hook of Sven, and that's going to be a flip right around, but we're about even Stevens on capture point. Capture progress, even.
Yeah, well, now, of course, LG, they're going to be able to pull away a little bit better. And they have so many ultimates as well to facilitate whatever it is they try to do with this defense. Thing is, they don't want to stay all too close together. Run is still sitting on that EMP that they're going to be pretty paranoid about. And T1W, they made LG paranoid last time.
Well, out comes the EMP. High B with the self-destruct, not able to find anything. Merit gets one with the dragon. Out comes the Meteor Strike from Mija, looking for a target. Not able to find anything, just lands on the high ground. Out comes the Blizzard, though, and that's going to make life a lot harder for T1W. I think again, Esports in a really good position here to take us 1-1 on this control map. We've got one more fight left from T1W, and they've only got the sound barrier to do it with.
Yeah, they're certainly getting ever closer to this 100% mark, and it's going to be virtually impossible for someone like Malamran or Midya to build up to their ultimate in that time. So they are going to have to rely on the sound barrier to give them the protection, but immediately Weir's going down. Are they even going to be able to take this back? It's going to be a very staggered fight, I suspect.
Well, there's a sound barrier. Midya able to get in and equalize things straight away. Both supports down. Rollerin gets the D-Mech. High B taken down. Midya still here. Looking to get the kill. Gets the kill onto Merit. And T1W going to do this. We've got 2 tanks left on the point for LGE.Huya. Silver goes down. Midya once more getting the better of J-Mac. Kami fighting Molaran here. Sven pulls in. Midya with the right click takes him down. It looked so good for T1W. We've got the Lucio with Illusion hopping around the point. Wants to keep this going as long as possible. The D.Va not able to get on the point. We are at 1-1 on Busan. We're going to be going downtown to see how this is all going to shake out.
This is very reminiscent of the first map that we did have here in this series, where we did go to the 3rd point, and now everything lies on this point. The person who wins this point, or the team who wins this point, will be the team going into the semi-finals, going to face up against Billy Gaming next week. T1W, they've proven that they can play the mind games and add the pressure enough in a way that allows them to take control points. But LGE.Huya, they've had that level of consistency and proven that they know exactly who on T1W it is they should be targeting. And the question is, which is going to stand out the most? Merit here on the Widowmaker. If you can get those key picks, that will be massive, especially given that T1W pretty much can't bring out a Widowmaker quite to the same level.
No, and pretty unfun to be playing a Doomfist into a Widowmaker in a nice open map like this, because your head hitbox moves in a pretty predictable way. Merit now playing the lower ground, I think, anticipating that Miju will be there looking for him, comes into the backline as well, and Silver gets the first kill. Lensa going down already in the fire. Hack onto Silver, doesn't really matter so much. Miju looking for angles now, coming around on the flank, wants to get in possibly onto a tank, do a bit of damage, get some shields, get some ult charge. However, kills lining up for LGE.Huya. T1W have capped the point already, and that's going to be Mija caught out, not even with a sniper rifle, just with the machine gun fire of Merit's rifle.
And that's exactly why LG.Huya didn't really need to worry too much about that early control, because they knew that Midya would kind of be dancing around trying to get some of those backline kills, go around a different way, and of course Merit was just able to catch him out. He's actually maybe looking out for, oh no, okay, I was wondering if maybe he was looking out for a Sombra, but instead he's trying to get a better angle where he is less susceptible, and then out comes this Coalescence that's going to sustain LG.Huya.
Or it's going to burn down Weir. Weir taken down. J-Mac getting better of Mija has happened so often in this map. Molly able to pile in the healing, keeping LGE.Huya alive and in the fight. High V goes for the reset. Illusion taken down. So T1W coming up on a couple of key ultimates here. Is that going to be enough for them to flip this back around?
Well, one thing that we saw earlier was 2 EMPs virtually going off at the same time, and Malamran was very carefully calculating when to use his exactly in a way that allowed T1W to follow up on LGE, but it actually kind of backfired, and LGE were able to take it back. This was back on Nirvani earlier, so we'll wonder if we see anything of similar.
Oh man, Silver gets hacked and destroyed. Mullerman throws in the EMP but dies straight away. LGE.Huya taking advantage of some big old mistakes out of T1W. Mija getting one parting blow at the end might not be enough. 70% of the point captured for LGE. T1W looking very ragged at the minute.
And we may expect to see Silver 3 try to use that minefield to displace members of LGE.Huya, but this point is actually fairly big and you can quite easily move out the way, and it's not like they have a Pharaoh who can rain in rockets and, you know, catch out the members who move out the way, and now this whole hog.
The speculative hook-hold combo finds value. Sven gets rid of Ivy. That's 5v6 already for Lingan Esports, and not a lot left to do. Meteor finally gets Merit out of the picture. Meteor Strike not able to find anything, gets in, finds Molly, finds Lenser, coming in, has the bead on the tagline of LGE, but gets hacked and deleted. 99-16, Monoran finds J-Mac, Sven still alive and fighting Hybe. Hybe being kept alive by Weir in the backline, but the whole hawk for Sven is going to knock them right off the point. The wrecking ball of Silver back in the point on the contest. Illusion coming in with the sound barrier. Is this going to be enough? Might they be able to do it? There are only a few members of LGE left on the point. Hybe gets taken down. Goodbye, Molly. J-Mac still there, but with a swap over onto the Tracer, Silver goes down. Illusion doing their darndest to keep this alive and in the fight. Are they going to do it? They finally got enough damage, enough people, enough speed on the point to flip this back around. The last second contest coming back in with the Lucio and the Winston. The punch fails to connect. No kill coming out there. Following up with a couple of kicks. Not quite able to get the kill. Does get it in the end with a bit of help from Illusion. Meteor with a whole hacking bunch of shields, able to keep this alive and in the fight. T1W have to get rid of the Tracer, keeping this in, and they flip it around.
And it just seems that T1W are getting the majority of their value when they feel like they're under pressure and they're panicking. This is what we saw on Mecha Base. They just kind of went for it. But once again, we're in a situation where we have the double EMP, and last time Milan Run got caught out to such an awful extent that T1W will be thanking their lucky stars that they have had a chance to end up at a second opportunity here. Looking like he's translocating in. Haven't seen the EMP just yet. Maybe he's waiting to bring it out for the perfect moment. There's Kami's.
Yeah, once the counter EMP gets 5, Mila able to get the kill onto Molly, but taken down immediately. Hybe trades Akami out as well. Silver down. J-Mac coming in, has the minefield ready to go. Wasn't quite able to get the kill. The self-destruct now out from Hybe. Spies the smallest amount of space, but the minefield now on the point for J-Mac. Hybe alone, unprotected. Illusion, the only member of the team there to help them out. That's going to be the D-Mech onto Sven, but that might be enough for them to flip it back around. Merit on the Tracer wants to get those final few bits of damage in onto the Wrecking Ball and take them out. This is looking pretty good for LGE.Huya. The Meteor Strike now out from Meteor. They hold onto it. They fight their way back into control of the points.
That was insane. As soon as that minefield went out, I just thought that T1W were kind of not in the best position to make it back. Hybe got taken down fairly decisively. And then, of course, it was pretty much just Silver 3 having a go. But, no, once again, they've managed to turn things back around. Molly's got the Coalescence ready to go. And it wouldn't surprise me if Molly actually tried to use that more for the damage than the healing. Here we go. It's actually come out now, aimed straight onto Hybe.
Yeah, Coalescence out. Not able to ball, gets Meteor, and that's such a big kill. The pick potential completely gone with Meteor out of the picture, away with a Coalescence of their own, trying to beam down any target at all. The EMP comes out, only hits Akami in. The Silver 3 able to get J-Mac here as well. Minefield coming out for Silver. The D-Mech onto Sven. The EMP out from Kami is huge. And the Pulse Bomb. Merit getting the bullets into Molaran and into Silver. Ivy getting the opposite.
Carrying.
Yeah, Merit comes around and says, no, I'm going to play Tracer and stop this from happening. As they get the flip, overtime ticks down. There's no contest. LGE.Huya force their way through. They're going to be going through into the semi-finals.
Oh my god, it was so backwards and forwards, and by the end I was truly suspecting T1W to take that, and it was so close. It looked like it was LG's for such a long time. T1W managed to flip it over, but that Tracer, so reminiscent of how we used to see them played back in the dive meta, back in early, 2018 and before then, able to just clear up the final point, and everything tips over back to LGE, straight into the semifinals.
Speaking of back to, let's throw it back to Nekkra for some wrap-up comments on this.
So China's a nuts region. It's so exciting, so creative, and we just saw an abundance of different utility from both of these teams. Lensa can play Lucio, That's something that we discovered on this map as well, and played it to great fruition. So that really helped, and I think that was a great step in the right direction for LGE. And you know, we've beaten that storyline with a stick at this point, where that Lucio really did help to mitigate some of Midgea's effectiveness, but also LGE between the first round there on that map of Busan took a deep breath, recuperated, and found architectural ways to mitigate the effectiveness of T1W's comps, and it was what they needed.
Yeah, that was a massive improvement and adaptation that they made over the course of the series, and I'm actually very excited to see exactly how LGE are gonna face Bilibili Gaming coming into the semifinals, because these are pretty much the two best academy teams in the region. Of course, LG won last season. BLG have consistently been the best this season, to be quite honest. And so I'm really excited to see how these two teams that have kind of been considered titans of this region are going to come up against each other in that head-to-head, because of course only one can go through.
Yeah, and the most exciting part about this series for me is that this is going to be the first time they faced each other for the entire season. They have the resources to be able to do the scouting. You know they're going to be doing that. When we saw from Bilibili Gaming was not only that they're just a dominant force, but they really understood how to adapt based on the compositions that they were seeing. And there's a lot of flexibility from both of these teams, so that's going to be a great one to watch.
Yeah, I think that LG, they've had to do a lot of learning in the moment, whereas BLG, they've been a little bit more prepared from the get-go, and as we kind of said in our first series of the day, you know, they're a little bit more practiced in terms of these kinds of metas that we're seeing, or, you know, these compositions that we're seeing in this new meta. So it does mean that LG, they've got a long road of studying ahead, but the fact that they've knocked T1W out in these quarterfinals, you know, T1W kind of struggling to catch a break. They've gone from the champions to kind of being knocked down and down the rungs, and they did do very well, but the fact is it got to the point where it's so obvious what they were relying on for their wins, what their win conditions were, and they were called Midgear and Milan Run. And once you figure out how to you know, how to counter those two players specifically and their play styles and their hero pools, then pretty much you can control exactly how the series goes. And that's what LGE decided to do well, just after halftime today.
I mean, looking forward to the future, the winner of that semifinal is going to have to match up against either Team CC or LGD Gaming, and mitigating effective DPS is going to be really important for that matchup.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, I'm very excited to see who it is that's going to be going forward into the finals, but I think this was the most exciting game that we saw today, and one of the most exciting games that I think will be in the playoffs, because it was just so backwards and forwards, so close. These two teams had different strengths and different weaknesses, and a lot of it was that scrap to try and find out, you know, who could get on top of the other better, and it was just LGE who won that out.